In today's video, so you want to take your belly fat from looking like this to looking like this. Well, let me explain how you can lose belly fat and make it simple. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I want to help you understand how we're going to get rid of your belly fat. I'm going to give you 4 simple steps, some actionable items. And so I've been a coach now for over a decade. And when I first got into this lifestyle, I started realizing there was a lot of bad information out there, almost too much information. And I wanted to simplify it. So for you guys, what I'd like you to do is hit subscribe if you enjoy this type of content around a coach who's going to take you through the process of reaching the physique that you're after. Today's video, which you clicked on, is about losing belly fat. So I want to understand the 4 steps that it takes to get the belly fat off. And the first thing I think we have to understand is what is belly fat. Because a lot of people will make claims like you can lose belly fat in 1 week, you can lose belly fat in a few days. And I want you to actually understand exactly what belly fat is. So I've been hard at work with my graphics department. The purpose of this is so I want you to see where belly fat resides, okay? It lies underneath the skin, in between the abdominal cavity and the skin, and then in between the organs. Now, as you can see by that illustration, there is belly fat that resides between our skin and the abdominal cavity, and there's also belly fat that resides behind the abdominal cavity in front of the organs. And so what we're gonna talk about today is how you get rid of that. And I find that if you understand the assignment, you actually do a little bit better with this. It doesn't get so confusing. So let's talk about how fat loss works. Can you lose belly fat in 1 week? Absolutely. But the belly fat that you're gonna lose in 1 week is probably gonna be the result of you already having lost the other fat on your body. Fat on our body resides in a pattern which is predetermined by your genetics. When you overeat, overconsume calories, and don't move enough, your body takes that excess energy and creates fat stores. Those fat stores are going to reside all over our body, determined on your genetics. Now, a lot of us tend to focus on the belly. Why do we focus on the belly? Well, for most of us, it's the area that gains fat the first, which means if you gain fat everywhere else, it's also gonna come off the last. But I have a perfect way to illustrate this. This paper towel roll represents the human body. This is our stomach. This is our belly. This is our lower back. For any stubborn area of body fat that you have, the paper towel roll in the center represents that body part that you would like to see uncovered. Well, how do we get there? Well, week 1 we diet, we lose body fat where? Who knows? It could come from our glutes, it could come from our quads, it could come from our face, it could come from our shoulders. But body fat does not come off in a pattern which suits you, okay? Our bodies are pre-designed for survival. They're not designed to have shredded six-pack abs, so it does take some time to get there. However, if you keep losing body fat, you will inevitably get to this place where you can see the physique that you're after. This is something that I discovered through my years of training to be a physique athlete. I also went back to school to study exercise science, to understand physiology, to understand nutrition, to understand how the human body works. The better you understand something, the more likely you are to stick with it. Step 2 is going to be about nutrition, guys. And I think we all know where this is going, but I want to keep it super simple. I want to make this simple for anybody out there. So I'm not going to get too specific. I have a free macro calculator on my website. Not everybody needs that. What we need first and foremost is accountability. Many of us go throughout the day thinking, oh, I'm only eating about 1,000 calories, I'm only eating about 1,200 calories, but we're not being accountable for all the things that we're putting in our mouth. Everything that we consume that has calories need to be accounted for. So the first step for you guys to actually understand what you're taking in, that's right, is get an app. There are free apps out there. My personal favorite is called Fat Secret. Why? Because it's a food diary. You simply plug in anything you eat, use the food scanner, and you just become accountable. No pressure, no stress. You don't even have to tell anyone you're doing it, but the purpose here is just looking at things. Much like you would if you were trying to save money, buy a house, buy a car, be financially responsible, you wanna be physically responsible for your nutrition. Just start looking at what you're taking in. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to make any changes right away. In fact, I would do the opposite of that. I would go about your normal day, just start being accountable. Don't think to myself, well, I don't wanna have this because I have to track it. Track it. Find out where we're at, okay? Body fat is only stored when we overconsume calories and undermove. That is it. That is it, guys. A lot of people will try to tell you things like, oh, it's your hormones, it's this. Yes, there is going to be an impact on how you treat your body downstream on how your hormones are going to respond. However, I promise you, if you start taking care of your nutrition and start taking care of your life, you will see a benefit. The second thing we need to pay attention to is our activity levels. Now, everybody knows that the guideline is about 30 minutes a day of exercise, 5 days a week, but how many of us actually do that? I've actually fallen into this trap. getting into a corporate job, driving to work, sitting at my desk all day, driving home, being so exhausted and stressed from work, I order a pizza, I watch something on Netflix, go to bed, wake up the next day. Well, you guessed it. You have just put yourself in a large caloric surplus, hence the body fat storage. I got to places in my life where I was very unhappy with how I looked. And I came from a background of sports, so I was always very active. But I never understood the connection between how active I was until I started tracking my activity. You would be amazed how many people lose weight simply by going, oh, I'm not moving enough. You can walk outside your house and go for a walk a couple times a day. This accountability for activity is what's going to drive the changes in your body. Look at the calories you're taking in, look at the activity you're doing. The focus should be on making sure that those calories are in a nice range so that you can actually move enough to lose body fat. The only way to lose body fat, it's not some magic diet, okay? There are great diets out there to use, but those are going to be based on your specific circumstances, your morals, your ethics, your culture. You can lose weight with any diet. It all comes down to creating that caloric deficit. Losing the belly fat is going to come down to being in a deficit long enough so that your body gets to the point where it loses that fat. So now I want to give you guys some actionable items. What should you be doing right now? Let's talk about nutrition. Once you've tracked for a couple days, and I want you to get into the habit of looking at your nutrition with every meal and every day, let's talk about where we should be for nutrition. How much protein should we be getting a day? The great thing about protein is it helps us keep and build muscle, but how much? We've all heard a gram per pound. Well, I'm not going to focus on that. I would like you guys to focus on a gram per pound of your goal weight. So how much fat should you be taking in per day? Well, a good rule of thumb is about 20% of your total daily calories. It just depends where you're at nutritionally, but that's just a basic guideline. Now, carbohydrates are going to be the biggest variable. For someone that's trying to get lean, carbohydrates provide a lot of energy. A lot of people misunderstand carbs and they fear them. Carb sources that don't have a lot of fat in them, things like rice and potatoes, fruits, vegetables, those should be the focus, okay? Carbs like that are going to provide energy, and fat burns in a carbohydrate flame. Now, when we talk about exercise, we want to understand that the exercise that we perform is burning calories. The energy system that our body uses is predetermined based on the intensity of the exercise, not whether or not we're fasted. I hear this argument all the time. You don't want to perform cardio in a fed state because it's going to burn carbohydrates. False. The fuel source that your body is going to use for exercise, let me say it loud, is going to be based on the intensity of the exercise. Now, the lower the intensity, the more your body is going to use fat as fuel. The higher the intensity of the exercise, like a sprint, the more percentage of the carbohydrates are going to be burned. So what it ultimately comes down to is finding something that you enjoy and creating that energy deficit. If it helps you to think that while you're walking, you're burning fat, hey, great, that's what I love to do. You know, guys, I love my incline treadmill. I love going outside, walking the dog. I just love being active, taking steps. I've seen incredible things from clients of mine that have gotten into a new job where they're on their feet all day, losing several pounds per week simply by walking more. I have several clients who are now using treadmill desks. They walk at 1 to 1.5 miles per hour and are losing an incredible amount of body fat by literally just working all day. Okay, guys, so it's about finding the balance, about finding what works for you for belly fat. A lot gets made of doing things like hanging leg raises and crunches, and while they're great for building those muscles in the rectus abdominis, the only thing that's going to reveal them is if we lose this layer of belly fat and this layer of belly fat here. Okay, guys, this subcutaneous fat, that resides under our skin. It is the same fat that resides under our skin in every part of our body. And so here's probably the most important factor for you guys to be successful. Take pictures. Even if you don't want to show other people, you will see the changes that are happening in your body. Even if it's not happening to your belly, even if it's happening to your lower body, even if it's happening to your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, any part of your body that's losing body fat, when you see it in pictures, it's going to be motivating. And you're not always going to see it in the mirror. Because for men, most of us lose our body fat in the back first. The love handles, the upper back, the glutes, those areas really lean out on men for a while sometimes before the lower abdomen comes in. So it's important that you see you're making progress. Now, I as a coach have helped thousands of people do this. My team, we now have a team of 27 coaches at ProPhysique. If you're looking for coaching, we do free consultations. You simply click a link, we'll set up a free call with you. I also do a transformation challenge for those that want a hands-off approach and just want some motivation. We're doing our next 90-day transformation challenge at the end of July. The last one just ended. We had some amazing results, and I will be interviewing the winners. We gave away $50,000. And that is another important part of losing belly fat, and that is having a deadline, a date, a goal. Set something that matters to you, because when you make yourself important, you put the work in. All right, guys, don't just say you want it. Take the steps. Take these 4 steps that we talked about today and apply them and start losing that belly fat. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.